I've had some radio silence for the past week because I've been at the same retreat I went to a year ago. I had been invited to come back to this right after it ended because they knew that the people in charge of this see in me things that I keep not seeing or refusing to see intentionally or unintentionally. And they knew that I wanted to my goal is about being a coach, and they invited me to come back this year. My first thoughts was like, I don't know where my finances are going to be. I don't know, even if I am being a coach, I think it's going to take time to get enough. I need to make sure I still have enough money to last. And I told myself, it's like, but if I'm going to be a coach, it's good to keep going back to these things for yourself. And I was like, but I still don't know how much money. I'm like, but what message am I giving myself? I'm telling myself I don't have faith that I'll be able to get there. So I was like, I got to have faith. And in all truth, there was also a little bit of people pleasing. So I was like, oh, I don't want them to, like, I know that I wouldn't be judged, but I was like, there was that little bit of you that says, oh, but if I say no, then they'll know that I don't have faith in myself. So there's a little bit of people pleasing too, there's a little bit, but everything, it did, if I was fully coaching, I fully believe that coaches need to keep going to their own stuff. Hey, this is sounding a little better. But then, as I've talked about in some of my videos, I was doing well for a few months, doing super weight, and then my mind started attacking me, which I've seen as a pattern now. Happened the year before, when every time I've started making true steps toward doing that, my mind attacked me, and then took me out for months. Last year it was like from May until September, and then that trip, the biking trip a friend had invited me on to, I got in a good mood then, and then I saw my bestie, but there was still I went back into it for the next month before this trip. So last year I went into this retreat in a very bad headspace. I had an extraordinarily deep down, but then I broke through on the second day finally, and I had an extremely high up. This year, all summer after I finally come out of that attack mode where I was in a very bad headspace for a couple months, and my hands actually were hurting because I was overusing the computer until July. But I was just focusing on staying stable. I just gotta take care of the workout, take my garden, and that's just why there's so much just gardening stuff. It's not as much of this year, but as I've said in one of my videos, that's part of the journey, because I was just gotta stay stable. And I've still kept thinking about this, man, I shouldn't just go to this thing. It's I'm not being a coach. There's no point going back again, or I knew there was a point going back. I knew it was worth coming back again, but I also didn't want to get myself back into the upper high state again, because then I'm now I'm willing to push myself again, and then I'm afraid of myself that I know it's going to attack me, but I've seen the pattern now too. I have ideas for coming up with a safety plan, when I'm going to start pushing myself, which I got 2 weeks, and I have something else that I'm doing, the psilocybin retreat. I'm doing that I'm home 2 weeks, and I go there to do that. So I don't need to worry about it for the 2 weeks. We'll see. But again, a safety plan of letting people know, hey, I'm approaching a time where I'm going to push myself. I'm going to start checking in. If I start disappearing, check in on me. So making this safety plan where I know I'm entering a particularly sensitive stage. See how that goes this time. But I wanted to just mention here, I am glad that I came. It was actually I was more stable this time, but in a lot of ways this was a harder and a more dangerous retreat for me this time, because those voices in my head telling me to just accept that you're limited, just accept it for once. Stop fighting this, stop trying to pretend you're more. And because I haven't gone on such a lower high, it's much more tempting to listen to when you're in more of your calm. I would, yeah. And I couldn't connect with myself all week during any of them. It was a little frustrating too. Last night, it's the reason I have my voice. I finally found myself again. It took me until the very last day. Last night was the last day. So I was loud screaming. I was hurting my ears. It's actually very painful for me to hear these things, because I have sensitive hearing, and and it's very painful. I was clapping sometimes, and I was hurting my own ears with my clapping. But one thing that I've learned from this, I've been from my own experience this past couple months, I've been realizing just how stressful it is to access my memory, because I don't always remember things, and that's one of my biggest concerns about being a coach. Is like I say things and I don't remember what I said. People say things to me, I don't remember what they said. I try to do these things. Everything I've been on my videos, I say them on the fly. My therapist thought that I was scripting. Like the first year when I was doing these, he's like, all the work scripting notes. I'm like, I don't script any of this. It's like I might have an idea of what I'm about to say, the general gist, and just a topic, and then I just say what I have to say. He's like, what? But I never know if I'm gonna. When I'm talking to people, sometimes I have things that I can share with them, questions that people keep telling me that I have helped them with some wise words. I'm like, yeah, I know I get that sometimes, but I never know when I'm going to be able to access it. It's like, it stresses me because I can't plan it ahead really. Or sometimes if I do things before I write them down, I forgot them. I've mentioned things like, put glasses down. And it stresses me a lot. Oops. But someone last night told me it's a gift that I can do that despite not. I mean, obviously, memory is working there, but it's like getting triggered in the context right then. So it's not that the memory's not working. And a lot of times things are there in my memory, but I need something to help pull it out first. I need a trigger. And even then, people tell me, it's like, oh, you said some really, really wise things to me. I was telling her, like, interesting thing is, I don't remember anything that I've said to you. It's like, I don't remember. I know we've talked, but I can't remember anything. So I don't even know what it was that I said to you that was wise, that was helpful. And I told her about that, and she's pointing out, it's like, that's a gift. And it struck me, one of the things that we were saying at the retreat, so I don't remember a lot of the retreat from last year. It's like I'm seeing these things going, okay, I kind of recognize this, but I don't remember the details. Some of them, I'm like, I don't know if we did this or not. I can't remember. But one of the things we were saying is, like, a lot of times your greatest weaknesses become your greatest strengths. And when she said it in that way, it's a gift. That clicked there. I'm like, wait a minute, is this actually a strength of mine? Because my memory thing it stresses me a lot. But the fact that I can still come up with things on the fly when I need to, and sometimes I can't. But I've learned things like that, and the fact that I left the retreat last year in the middle of it, and I ran all the way down the mountain and all the way back up. People are telling me, and that was a very big moment of weakness, but people have been telling me that, well, they shared the story, so everyone knows about it now, so I've become a bit infamous there. I was like, oh, but people are telling me that actually helped them to be comfortable and to know that it was to come here, because they're like, if he came back, he did that, and he still came back. That's telling them that I think it's worth it, and it helped to calm their own nerves. So that was a very big moment of weakness. So I needed to be here. And people here I'm very grateful for them having how much faith they have in me, for the potential that they see in me, and that I keep locked up inside of me. I have a couple other people tell me, it's like, you keep yourself locked up in a jail, or as one of the other gentlemen said, a fortress. And I mean a fortress. You are in a fortress, and they're both saying you hide the key from yourself. You lock yourself in from the inside. They both said almost the same words, different time. And you take the key and you hold it behind your back, and you won't let your other hand get at it. And you're locked inside, not just from everybody else, but from yourself too. So there's a lot of things. I mean, and I know it too. But I needed a reminder, because I need a lot of reminders. But I'm going to try to put things also in my house so I can see them more. But I'm glad I came, and I wanted to share this with y'all. And now it's time for breakfast, and say goodbye to some people who are leaving soon. I'm so sad. But I'm going to keep going. And I've already done one kind of crazy thing. I'll see what the answer comes out. I don't have to worry about it right now, but it's actually uploading somewhere. It's not for public consumption, but I did take a very big risk just now before I did this. So I'll see what that goes. I'll see y'all. Love you. And one more thing. I got myself a little bunny. Oh, what's he look like? I got this last night. I had seen they had a couple animals up on the table just for decoration, and I had seen them last night. I was like, did they have those last year? They didn't do anything like this last year with these, but I saw them. I was like, are they doing something with these? I don't know if they had those for decoration last year or not. I was like, I want one to bring home with me. And then later on at the end, they were called someone up and gave them, I don't remember if it was me first or someone else first, actually. Details. It was one of them. And I think it was me first. And they were giving some stuff away. I saw that, I'm like, oh, I want that. And I didn't expect, because I had such a hard time. I couldn't let go of things. I was refusing to go up and do some of the exercises at the beginning, even though I was in a state where I was listening to myself. There's no point going up there and lying to yourself. It's like, just not going up. And they tried to get me to go up. I was just like, nope, not going up. But so I was surprised that because it was having a hard time for myself, but I was still interacting with everybody else and doing my part. I wasn't like super depressed. I was just like, for myself, I was just like, no. Not every day. It was getting slowly better all the day. But when I saw that though, the bunny, and they called me up, I was surprised, and they gave me the bunny because of my nickname that I've had since I was a kid, and family and friends would call me this on their own. It wasn't coordinated. Until I was in my 30s, they called me the Energizer Bunny. I had a video about this before, and that's why they chose the bunny, and that meant a lot to me to get that, because I had seen those. I was like, oh, I want one, and I went to after I did the last video that I made. I went and grabbed the bunny. I'm like, oh, I gotta share that too. So I'm going up to breakfast now with my bunny. So I'll see everybody. Bye.